Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Two Gallon Outdoors. Today we're actually going to be catfishing. So the temperature has finally picked up some. It was, I guess, in the 20s up to 40s last couple days, but today we got a really nice breeze coming in. The sun's pounding pretty hard, so actually everything's warming up pretty nicely. So today we're actually going to go out with a buddy a little bit later on and catch some catfish. But to get started, basically we're going to go ahead and catch some bait fish first. I mean, this ain't rocket science. Generally, just you have a bobber, and then about 8 to 12 inches down, we're going to be using this little panfish hook, and then a little split shot. We just went to Walmart. We picked up some night crawlers, so we're actually going to be fishing this creek behind me here, try to catch some creek chub and some bluegill to hopefully catch some catfish later on today. So please stick around and enjoy today's video. All right, guys, let's get this party started here. Alright, so this spot should look familiar in the past. This is usually where I catch all my creek chubs at. But it's the rig I'm using, as I talked about earlier. And as far as bait goes, my favorite bait to catch creek chubs is actually night crawlers. The last video I was using flies to catch them because I didn't have night crawlers on me at the time. But, I mean, just old school fishing technique. Just pinch off a little bit of the night crawler and go ahead and slide. Go ahead and slide that baby on the hook. And that's pretty much how we're going to be fishing today to catch our bait. Also, I went out and bought this nice little $9 insulated bait bucket. Now they sell some for 20 something bucks that have aerators already in them, but it doesn't really need to be aerated right now because we're not really catching shad or anything. So we're just gonna go ahead and fill this up with the water from the creek. And you don't want to overfill it. It doesn't really take a lot of water, but so that's pretty much it as far as preparation goes, and now we just have to catch some fish here. And fish number one. The reason why I put the bobber on is because it actually gets quite challenging to see the bait, especially when you're trying to pitch it into really fast moving streams. It's hard to see that bait, so the bobber will actually go under. The bobber will go under when the fish gets on, so makes it just a little bit more simple. And as you can see, as I'm casting, I'm just letting the actual movement of the water take the bobber all the way down the creek, and then just being ready and prepared to set the hook. Just missed one. We're gonna actually go over. Ooh. Ow! I just missed that fish. tons and tons of thorns. Try to get to some slower moving water here. Oh, got one on. Oh, missed him. Alright, so missing that fish just brought up another good point to share with y'all. So you can see how the worm is kind of off the shank of the hook here. When you're fishing for these, you want to make sure that the worm glides right over it like a J, just like that. So when the fish actually, you know, their mouths are so small, is when they go to bite your bait, you want to make sure that they actually get hooked on. All right, fish number 2. And that right there is a little bit bigger creek chub. Put him in the bait bucket too. I'm gonna move the bucket with me this time so I don't have to walk back. Oh, that ain't a creek chub. No matter what kind of fishing I'm doing, I never fail to catch a stick fish. Got him. And that's even bigger than the second one. All right, creek chub number 3. And what's interesting is the way I hooked the worm, I'm still using the same piece of bait. So I'm just gonna slide it down until it slides directly over the hook. And keep using that same piece of bait. So another tip about these creek chub is you see this side of the stream, or this side of the creek is not moving, and then of course it goes over these rocks and it starts moving again. A lot of times, it's very hard to see these creek chubs. A lot of times you might catch a couple fish, or fish might be hitting for a good amount of time, but then the fish move. So it's important when fishing for creek chub. The reason why my bait's going in and out is because if you're not throwing it on top of the creek chub, a lot of times you'll be wasting a lot of time before you actually start catching fish. So you actually have to find the fish, especially creek chub. They're very hard to fish for just in one spot the whole entire time, and you won't have much luck fishing for them that way. So that's just one tip, is just make sure that you keep that bait in and out of the water as much as possible until you find and locate these fish. Didn't set the hook very good on that guy. Alright, got him. Chub! There we go. I almost missed that completely. Throw them right back into the water. It's a bigger one. All right, now we're starting to build a nice little bait bucket. We don't plan on catfishing very long today, but I usually try to get, for around 2 hours, 3 hours of fishing, I usually try to get anywhere from 5 to 10 creek chub. Now usually a lot of times I actually use these creek chub live, so I just hook them to where they're still alive. Another fish. But today we're actually just going to be cutting these guys straight in half, and I'll show you all that later. Just because of the colder weather. I try typically not to fish as much live bait in colder weather, just because I've never really had success with it in the past. So anywhere from 6 to 7 creek chub should do us just fine today. All right, there we go. Ooh, don't come off. All right, I think that'll be fine for now, so I'm gonna go ahead and pack up, and we are gonna go catch some fish. All right, so we are finally here. Unfortunately, my friend could not make it today, so we're by ourselves again. You see, we're way out kind of here in the somewhat middle of nowhere. We got a nice little hike before us until we get to the water. Probably 2 minutes worth maybe. But we're actually going to be fishing by a marina today. We're going to be using those creek chubs. I haven't caught any bluegill. The creek chubs should hopefully work out pretty good for us today. So we got the creek chubs. And we're only going to be fishing with one rod today. So one rod, just some creek chubs. We'll just tie on a little Carolina rig, and hopefully we can catch some catfish here. We're going to be fishing, I'll show y'all later, but we'll be fishing this nice little drop off that goes from shallow water to deep water. And with this temperature picking up, I'm hoping the catfish go from the deeper water, like the 25, 30 foot of water, and hopefully they kind of get up on the little shelf that's already there. Yeah, we'll make our way down and we'll start fishing, and hopefully we catch some today. I tell you what, it seems to never fail that my GoPro runs out of video recording space. So we only got like 20 minutes of recording space, and I'm fingers crossed, I am praying that we need that much recording space today. That means that'd probably be the equivalent of around 10 catfish, and that would be really nice today. We're not going to be out here forever though. We're going to be out here for maybe an hour, hour and a half. These temperatures should start falling here in the next 3 hours or so. So I'm going to try to get on the front end of this nice little warm front that we got. So yeah. Alright, I also get a lot of questions about what rigs and what gear I use. Today I'm just going with old school, old faithful here. I got the Cat Buster rod, the Bass Pro series rod. This is an 8-foot rod. It's a medium heavy action. And these reels, it's hard to beat these old Abus. So I'm rocking an Abu Garcia 6000 today. As far as the line, I believe it is 20-pound Berkeley. It's 20-pound Berkeley line. It's not the big game line, but it's Berkeley line. As far as the rig goes, we're just using a normal Carolina rig, and we'll probably be using a 2-ounce sinker and then a 3/0 circle hook. For branding on circle hooks, it doesn't really matter. I use a lot different brands. I use anything from Eagle Claw to Team Catfish. But today I'm going to be rocking, I think, a 3/0 Gamakatsu circle hook. Octopus circle hook. So as far as rigging goes, that's what it's looking like for us today. A lot of times it doesn't really matter, but as long as as far as carrying the gear, I've just been using this little sog bag that I got from Walmart probably 5 or 6 years ago. I do have that blue Plano bag that I use a lot, but today I'm just kind of light packing for fishing. So I mean, of course I got my little water bottle, but I'm only bringing 2 different tackle boxes today. One has all my hooks in it, and then the other one has my assorted weights, barrel swivels, beads, and then a couple other little things. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I'm not really packing too heavy today. I don't even have, I didn't bring any kind of fishing pole holder or anything. We're just old schooling it. We're just gonna set the pole on the ground and put the clicker on, and we'll see what happens from there. All right, guys, now for just the last bit of specifics. 1.5 ounce no-roll sinker, bead, and then we got a #1 barrel swivel. And then on the end of that barrel swivel, we got a Gamakatsu 3/0 circle hook, octopus circle hook. Actually, this might just be it. This is just a regular circle hook. But that's just the specifics of everything that we're using today. You already know the bait's creek chub. And I just want to answer all these questions because a lot of times people ask what kind of rigs, what kind of gear that I'm using. Especially since a lot of the times I'm fishing bank around here. So I just want to try to give you all as much information as possible. So now we're going to finally walk down. We're going to get bait out in the water, and hopefully we can have some luck here. All right, here we are. All right, guys, so as I mentioned earlier, as far as baiting goes, we're just cutting the creek chub in half, and we are actually taking the hook and hooking it through its eyeballs, and that's what our bait presentation is going to look like today. So here's our next spot. Right in here, anywhere from 10 to 12 foot deep, and then over here it gets down to close to 30 or 35. So we're actually gonna try to fish that in between spot and see if we can't find some fish that are maybe going from the deep to shallow water since this temperature's picked up a little bit. So yeah, let's get to it. We're posted up here at our last spot, and tell me that this ain't the funniest fishing pole holder you've ever seen. It's just stuck into this old rotten tree here that's way off the ground, but it goes out to our spot. But that's what I call innovation right there. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and finish fishing this last spot we just posted out, so maybe another half hour to an hour, and hopefully we get something here, guys. Stick around. Alright guys, so as you can tell, the sun has pretty much went down, and we were unable to catch anything. The temperature's actually dropping really fast now, but even though we wasn't able to catch anything, still had fun, you know, just out fishing. I was really expecting these fish to be on the this drop off right here to the deeper water, but unfortunately I was unable to hook on anything really. I suspect that maybe shad would have worked a little bit better, but it's kind of hard to tell. I mean, generally creek chub work very, very well for me, but as the temperature starts to fall, it seems like the shad are the better bet. And the reason that is because shad die off a lot easier than any other bait fish in the winter. Creek chub and bluegills, they typically don't die off as bad in the winter, so there's always you know, they're always there. But when the shad start dying off is usually when the catfish in the deeper water can scavenge up some of those remains. So even though we didn't catch anything, I hope y'all enjoyed today's video. Hope y'all learned something on maybe how to catch a creek chub or just anything really. Please rate, comment, subscribe if you like this video, and I'll see you on the water again.